Well, hello. Good evening. Happy New Year. Hope you've all had a wonderful time off. If you celebrate Christmas, hope you had a lovely Christmas. Same story if you celebrate New Year, hope you had a good one. Excited to see what the new year brings, and we're kicking off the new year with, ironically, the end of Season 3. One final race, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Still a couple of details this season yet to be sorted. The Assist Tier 2 Constructors is not sorted yet, so that will be sorted on Sunday night. And same story with the Constructors on Assist Tier 1 for Thursdays. Everything for the no assist tier has been sorted now for a good few weeks. However, it's not just about the championships at the moment. It's more about the preparations for Season 4 have been well underway now, behind the scenes over the past week or two. We have lots more information to tell you about Season 4 tonight. First of all, evening to Joseph, evening to Snacks. Hope you're all really, really well. Hoping this final race of the season lives up to some expectations. Obviously, we are hoping for a great race. Last time we were here, it was the sprint format at Brazil, so we're back to normal now for the final race of Season 3. And, as I said, some things for Season 4 will be different. Certain streamers may be changing their days, is all I'll say. I have no concrete information for you. However, this could be the last no assist stream I do for a while. So let's hope that the drivers out there make it a good one. I'm sure everyone in chat will be disappointed if there's not at least someone doing some donuts over the course of the night. But what can we tell you about Season 4? Well, Season 4 will be happening and starting 2 weeks today. That's it. We have a 1 week turnaround next week. During that week there will be 2 streams, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. Next Tuesday's stream will be an award stream. We've done it for 2 seasons now, it's gone down really, really well. The nominations have been flying in over the Christmas break, and on the award stream it will be your chance to vote for whoever wins certain awards. You can vote for whoever you want. If you're nominated, you can even vote for yourself. That's not a problem. And there are certain awards like Cleanest Driver, Rivalry of the Season, the Best Division. That's always a big one. Of course, as the usual, Driver of the Season, Most Improved Driver of the Season for each tier as well. It's going to be loads of stuff that you can vote for. I'm working on how to make the stream bigger and better. Make it a bit more easier for me, but also a bit more enjoyable for you guys at home, even in Novatech. And then a week on Thursday, 12th of January, we will have the Season 4 reveal stream. Each 3 tiers of racing, no assist, assist tier 1 and assist tier 2, will all have a random wheel generator. And that is where you will find out where you're going to be racing and who your teammate's going to be. On that day as well, you're also going to find out the calendar, because for the first time in IIRL, we are doing a random calendar for Season 4. All the tracks on this game are going to be put in a wheel The first 18 to be selected, we're going to race at, and in that order. It's going to be unpredictable, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be potentially mayhem. Some of your favourite tracks might not even be in Season 4, some of your worst tracks might be in there. You'll just have to join us then to find out. But for now, let's send Season 3 off with a bang. It's been a fantastic season. Ross winning the championship a number of races ago, almost, I think just over a month ago he's won it. So he's had time to revel in his victory. AlphaTauri champions of Season 3 as well. They have a huge 270, I think it's, point lead over the next competitor. I will have a check for you, Novatek. I can't confirm for you. I will need to check with Padge. However, I think the answer is no. But I will need to check. So, really, that answer wasn't very helpful for you at all. Apologies, but we will get that information out to you as soon as possible. So 16 then to finish off the season. It's been a very long 2 weeks. Finally, nice to be back out on track. Standard format for quali, of course. 18 minutes for Q1, 15 minutes for the top 15 for Q2, and 12 minutes for the top 10 in Q3. And becoming a regular occurrence now, Joseph Hale's first out of the blocks, followed closely by a Red Bull of John. Q1, the bottom driver in P16 will be leaving us, leaving the top 15 for Q2. Joseph better get on that podium. Well, have to stick around to find out then. Long way away the podium. Still got 3 quali sessions and a full 29 laps before we find out who is on the podium. Evening, TD. Hope you enjoy the darts, mate. I probably won't be watching it, so if you want to spoil it in chat for me, that's fine. Yes, that is. It's true. It's very funny how it happened, but I'll let TD explain. So, first lap then of the week here at Abu Dhabi. Drivers have been complaining in practice about brake boards being taken out, so there will be eagle eyes watching any brake boards being mistreated here tonight. Obviously, street circuit, there's not going to be too much space on the track for brake boards as you throw the car into turn 4 and out of it getting a massive slab of DRS. Track very famous, very well known now in the Formula 1 kingdom. And as you exit this chicane, you get more DRS towards yet another altered part of this track instead of the 3-corner chicane. This very long turn left. It's very hard to get right actually with no assist. A couple of different lines you can take through there. Do you take a tighter line or a wider line? These curbs and the line of these corners have been altered slightly and take more speed. This right-hander here is pretty much flat out now compared to last year's. Through the final corner, Joseph Hales sets things off with a 1 minute 24.8. But of course that was on the medium compound tyres. I'm sure we will see faster lap times here this week. Mr. Wiggles opting for the hard compound tyre. Not such a bad shout, to be honest. Unless, of course, Mr. Wiggles is planning to use them for the race. However, that 1 minute 35 won't really get him anywhere. Tamino with his second, I think, or third name change of the year. But a fresh one to start off 2023. TV8 Tamino now, as Richie sets a bit of a banker lap. On to a guy we all know and love here at IIRL, one of the managers and serial racers. Oh, and that's a bit of a spin. That's quite bad timing. It is Pajestic's 100th race here in the league tonight, so Padge, don't forget about that. Don't dwell on that spin too much. Obviously, we wish you the best for race number 100 tonight. It's no such thing, TD. I'm just talking about Padge. I'm not... TD triggers me too much. Richie then set a banker, just like Tamino, who has gone faster on a 24/7. 1/10 to the good on Joseph Hales, both of them using the yellow marked mediums. Looked like Richie was flat out, but hasn't got any ERS engaged, so instead switch over to smaller Smiley. Smaller, I'd say this has been his breakout season, season 3. Has been pretty comfortably in the points this season. Not in every single race, but in the vast majority of races, had very strong individual performances at certain tracks this year. Brazil especially was very impressive for Smiley 2 weeks ago. Drivers taking their time, still got Prev, that guy, Greg, Perry and Padge all in the pits without lap times on the board. Deaton, John and Ross also on flyers alongside Smiley right now. As we have a spinning AlphaTauri of Ross. And that will obviously ruin his lap. And if he's used a lot of ERS, it will ruin his next lap as well. Needs to get though out of the way of John. Oh, and he does so. Pretty nicely there. Ross might come back into the pits and just recharge the battery. John then goes fastest. 24.5. And we'll switch then to Deaton. Coming through this final sector. think the final sector actually has been improved by making the track a bit more free-flowing, easier to follow cars, which means it's easier to stay within 2 or 3 tenths. Deaton goes 7th, just behind A-Man. Not quite into the 1 minute 25s, however, I'm sure Deaton won't mind right now. Deflated is going to win today. You're going to have fun for 4 days without me. Yes, I will, TD. You are right. And Tamino has retired in the pits. Deflated wheat. Thundering down at 204, 205 miles per hour. Towards that chicane. Got to nail that perfectly. Can't go too deep into the first corner, it will ruin your exit onto the second DRS straight. Almost invalidating, but keeping it in bounds for the limits. Guiding it round this final sector pretty handily. Staying in bounds again. And out of the final corner, this looks quick from Deflated, and it's fastest. 24.5, only fractionally ahead of John, so no real standout runaway leader at the moment. So easy to spin in Sector 3 because of camber. Very good point. All depends on your setup. Let's get the darts. Enjoy it, mate. Whilst I cannot. Greg starts the lap. No lap time on the board for 5 drivers now, which means there's 7 minutes left of the session. It's not a crucial time in the session, but I'm sure a lot of those drivers will want to get a lap time on the board. Ross improves after his 1 minute 43, shaves 18 seconds off and goes P5 with a 1:25.1. No, I can't TD. Well, I'm on this game. My internet is rubbish. So I can't watch any TV show or anything. Oh, as Greg gets a bit of a snap out of the chicane. It might not mean the end of the session for him. He could still complete the lap, or he could back off. Just whatever Greg fancies here. But there is still plenty of time. He could dip into the pits this lap and get a new set of tyres. He can do anything, really. Novatech, I'm going to miss the Mercedes next season. You might still be in the Mercedes next season. It might be randomly drawn for you. There is no guarantee. Oh, as we have a spinning McLaren of Hadge. Not quite a fan of this track, it would seem, as Greg does complete the lap and goes 11th. At the moment, he would be through. I selected mediums, but this game gave me softs. Nice game. Yeah. Not their finest piece of work from Codemasters, but I'm not a game designer, so I can't complain too much. TD, I won't miss the Ferrari. Fair enough. I enjoyed the Ferrari. It was Richie. Doesn't seem to be enjoying that Ferrari either. Bit too late on the brakes. Bit of a lock up. Mr. Wiggles driving round. 3 laps now on this set of tyres. There's Ross or that guy gets out of the way. Could be that guy starting a new lap, and it is. Yeah, unfortunately, Joseph, some of that does ring a bit true. So Mr. Wiggles improves his time. Dayman hoping to do that, but running wide like that will ruin any kind of progress he had in the lap so far. Wouldn't mind any other car, to be honest, just want a different car, says TD. Well, you can join us on Thursday the 12th of January for the reveal stream. That is where all the teams will be decided at random. We have a full grid for all 3 tiers. Perry Jerry in the lone Haas tonight. Chances of getting the Mercedes again are as low as possible. Wouldn't mind the Ferraris, says Novotel. I don't think the Ferrari's that bad actually. But I don't race on the game enough to have any strong opinions on cars. But from my experience, I enjoyed the Ferrari, especially with the limited edition one at the start of Season 3. Prev then sets his first lap time of the night. 26.1, good enough for 12th. Only a 10th away from Deton, but of course it's not about who's quickest, it's about trying to avoid being 16th, making any huge mistakes. That guy there on an invalid lap through the middle sector. Richie trying again to improve his time. Has turned the ERS off, so this might not be his best attempt, and Padge has also invalidated his time. So no one really, apart from Greg, who's about to start a new lap time, is on a flyer. Starting to reflect on Season 3 a bit more. Being part of the management team, it's always something I like to do, reflect. So always Greg goes for a bit of a spin and knocks his front wing off, but not out of the session. But with only 1 minute 30 left, there'll be no more improvements from Greg in this session, which means the pressure is now on Padge, who comes across the line to start a new lap time. Richie now also aiming to set one final lap time in Q1. Currently it is between these two, Richie and Padge. That guy's done a lap time on the mediums. If he can get a good lap time on the softs, then he'll be through, because Greg cannot improve. Sector 2 split into this braking zone. Richie 2/10 to the good. That could be rather important, but get the feeling if he wants to guarantee his spot in Q2, he needs to be 6/10 up and beat Greg's time. Padge, no idea what his delta is going to look like right now. No lap time to compare it to. as we have another spinning Ferrari. That's Prev through sector 3, but he's safe anyway. Checker flag has fallen. Padge makes it into Q2, as does Richie, both ahead of Greg. But the question is, will that guy make it? This is it. Greg back into the pits with damage on the car, so no hope for Greg of improving in this session. Question is now, will it be Greg or that guy heading out of Q1? You have to say, whichever driver it would be going out. It's a bit of a shock, not expecting to see either go out, but that guy there with a spin. And that will draw the curtain on Q1. That guy, massive shock, will be heading out of Q1. Pretty standard, TD. There we have it, confirmation, that guy. Unfortunate with the spin. Finishing in P16, and a lot of drivers using a slower compound of tyre, knowing only one will drop out of this session. John, Tamino, Joseph, Ross, Smiley, all using the medium compound tyres. Fortunately for that guy, it just didn't quite work for him on this occasion. Mr. Wiggles using the hard compound tyre to get through. That's pretty good stuff. But deflated weight, currently putting the icing on the cake in Q1, finishing top. And Greg getting away with it after having a mini crash out of turn 2 on his final flying run. But going back to what I was saying, as part of the management team, you have to reflect on each season. What's gone well, what's been different, what's worked. Have the changes that have been made actually been better for the league or worse for the league? I mean, we've had some brand new racers come into this league who have already hit the ground running. Had some incredible performances so far. Some people who we feel will be part of the furniture in this league for seasons to come. We've had some brand new things added. Different streamers for this season. Different stewards for this season. We've had our first ever sponsored streams this season. Monaco and Great Britain. We had Goldilocks sponsor all of those 6 streams. It's been a thoroughly successful season, and a lot of people excited about Q2. It would seem 8 of them out, all on that first DRS straight. At some point they're going to have to slow down a bit and get some good track position. Ross coming out of the pits in quite a nice spot there, going down that first DRS straight. You can see on your track map has plenty of room to work with. Joseph isn't out first. What is this? Yes, he normally is out first, isn't he? It's, as we said, gaps now starting to appear. They're still pretty close there in sector 3, so they'll have to slow down considerably. Might cost them a bit of tyre temperature as they start their flying lap, but one by one across the line and start the timer. on their flying lap. Everyone using soft compound tyres with the exception of Mr. Colucci and Mr. Wiggles, both misters out there on track. Guess we can call them Mr. Medium for now. Plenty of changes to Season 3. Even more changes coming in Season 4. There'll be new stewards who have not stewarded in this league yet. They'll be added into the team. Different streamers will be added as well. Some new, some returning faces, some dropping out slightly. Oh, as Deetsong goes for a bit of a spin. Prev then picks up as the lead car in quali, and around the finishing line to post a 25.5. Tamino behind does a 24.0, and Joseph Hales goes even faster than that on a 23.8. Wiggles does a 25.4 on the mediums. Colucci does a 26.3 on the mediums. Deton finished the lap with the spin to start a new one, as John goes third fastest on a 24.2. Ross then crossed the line, bit of a wiggle, and does a 29.7. That's not his finest, however, I'm sure he will go again to improve. Nice, I guess, tiger-themed helmet. Not too bad. Sticks out like a sore thumb in that black, white and grey AlphaTauri. This part of the track is going to attract a lot of overtakes with the DRS. You'll see people braking late into that chicane and into this corner, trying to get an advantage, trying to get the overtake. You'll see moves with the DRS done before the corners. Don't expect to see too many overtakes here in this last sector. This is more a sector to stay within a second of the car in front. Try and gain some time if you've got a high downforce setup. Ross does improve to a 24.6. Probably would be quicker if he had a bit more ERS in the tank. However, I'm sure Ross can do that at a later stage in this session. I'm going to design myself a helmet for last race. Do it, Novotech. Very privileged, I guess, to be on the last stream of the year, of the season. I'm in 82. Deflated Wee getting a very nice toe down the back straight there. Wonder if these two had spoken about that beforehand. But either way, whether it was on purpose or accidental, Deflated Wee with a nice little toe to boost his straight line speed, make his lap time even quicker. Just hoping you can join the lobby. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Oh, Deflated Wee just running wide there at the second to last corner, and has backed off the time, so not too sure what it would have been. Let's have a look actually. Oh no. $24.189. I put in P3, so Deflated Wee there. Unlucky to miss out on a spot in third. Probably would have got him through that lap time as well, so pressure, a little bit of pressure on Deflated Wee to try and emulate that lap time. I'm not planning to be there on Sunday, Novatek. I believe we will have snacks and Deflated Wee on commentary. Wee making his debut in the commentary box, so be nice to him on Sunday. Joseph Hales has retired and there is an Alfa Romeo crashed. And it is Tamino has made a big mistake out of turn 3. Not sure if he's just lost the car. He's taken to the escape road. Maybe for some nostalgia, but he has to be careful. Colucci behind. That is part of the streaming changes. Colucci getting a nice little toe there from Tamino. Ooh, and Colucci seems to have hindered him rather than aided him. More of a distraction potentially for Colucci, was that? So yeah, streaming team will be changing for Season 4 slightly. We'll have Spark returning. Did some comms for us in Season 1. Had a break in Season 2 and Season 3, but very, very good commentator. Has a YouTube channel as well. I'm sure you guys will love his streams if you haven't seen a Spark stream before. It's very enthusiastic. Looking forward to him being back on the comms. Spark knows a bit more about the mechanics of the car as well, so if you're into that kind of stuff, watch the Tuesday streams next season. Perry Jerry goes 7th, 24.8. Richie trundling down the first DRS straight. Padge comes out of turn 3. Got a banker on the board, but obviously that banker won't be good enough for a spot in Q3, so we'll need to improve. Dayman's time, 125.8 is the one to beat right now. Greg and Prev currently safe, but we'll probably have to go out again and try and improve. Perry Jerry a full 7/10 quicker than Prev in 7th. He might be safe on that time, but we'll just have to wait and see. What are the odds of him mentioning John P? Pretty low, I would say. It's encouraging to see drivers making space for their other competitors. Not an easy track to get out of the way. You have to go completely off track. Potentially could ruin your tyres doing that, or hurt them slightly. As Padge misses out on a spot in the top 10 at the moment by 3 milliseconds. That's how close it is right now. Deflated Wee currently without a time on the board, just coming back out onto the track now for one final run, maybe 2, depending on the situation. Deton already out there, looking to improve currently P14. Needs 0.8 of a second to break into the top 10. And he's 0.6 up through sector 2. So only needs a couple of tenths here in this final sector. And could find himself into Q3. Actually, I've just noticed Eton is on a 27, not a 26, so he'll need 1.8 seconds. Deton out of the final corner, it's 1.2 seconds improvement, so not quite quick enough there. Good enough to beat Richie though. Richie breaking even on his first sector, just fractionally down. That shouldn't matter too much. Easy to gain 300ths in a lap time. I'm sure though Richie has his sights set on better improvements than that on this outing. Joseph John at the top, retired from the session. Wiggles, Ross, Perry Jerry and Padge all in the pits. No improvement for any of them. Padge therefore will be out of Q2 on his 100th IIRL Grand Prix. Colucci on an out lap. Will be interesting to see if he can actually make it round the whole way. It was Richie goes for a bit of a spin in the final sector. Tamino and Deton coming round the final corner now to set lap times. And it's no improvement for either, so they are going for one final run here as Deflated Wee comes across the line to get himself safe. And a spot in Q3 almost guaranteed now as Dayman jumps up all the way to P9 and gets ahead of Prev, who is now the time to beat. IIRL Greg has slipped in to the bottom 5, and with this time being 1 minute 55 and counting, you can count Greg out of this session too. Richie with that spin in his final run, no improvement for him. What about Colucci? It's on a bit of a slow lap, so no improvement there either. What about Deton? He is 4 tenths up in sector 2, and that is exactly what he needs. However, Prev is still out there, coming to the final 2 corners. Is Prev round the last corner now? He is currently safe, but he'll want to get ahead of Dayman here. And it's no improvement for Prev. So if Deton can stay 4 tenths up here, as Tamino goes fastest by a few tenths, then Prev might be out, and Deton, oh, he's lost some time. Actually, no, he needed a bit more time than I thought. You can tell we've been off for 2 weeks. My brain isn't quite there yet. So Prev does escape the Q3 gap by 6 tenths in the end. Pretty comfortable in terms of time, but I'm sure in P10 he'll be a little bit more nervy than perhaps he needs to be. So Tamino with that fastest lap near the end will start Q3 with perhaps the most confidence of that top 10. IIRL Greg finishing in 11th place, Deton in P12, Padge on his 100th race in P13, Colucci in 14th place, and Richie will start in 15th place. In case you missed Q1 results, that guy will start in 16th place. But as for Tamino, Joseph, John, Wiggles, Smiley, Deflated Wee, Ross, Perry, Jerry, Dayman, and Prev, they will head through to the final no assist qualifying session of this season. Who will start the final race on pole? Well, in the next 12 minutes we will find out. It's one of them top 10, and it's happening in a few moments' time. Deton, I'll take P12, not the back row at least. Exactly, onwards and upwards. It is a track where mistakes do happen a lot. We saw that from last season as well. Plenty of mistakes witnessed here in quali already today. So sometimes it's not about getting the fastest lap, it's just getting the cleanest lap. But certainly P12, all the best for the race, Deton. Repeat of Mexico, please, says Joseph. I imagine he did well at Mexico. My memory's not what it used to be. Or at least I can't remember. Oh, OSX created a helmet. Watch out, everyone. Ask Snacks very nicely if he can go into TV pod during quali. Get a glimpse of your new helmet design. John there, just backed off. Oh, Dayman. Bit of a spin, just got on the inside curb there. On the plus side, it will warm the tyres up quite nicely for Dayman for his final flying run. But John, more importantly, getting some space on track. Dayman has plenty of space now ahead. Go on board with Joseph Hales, who I'm sure TD will be happy to know he is first out on track. Almost taking out some of the brake markers going into turn 1. Drivers starting their laps, plenty of space for each of these competitors. We've got Ross directly behind Joseph Hales, then we've got the Ferrari of Prev. As we have a Mercedes spinning in sector 1, that could be Mr. Wiggles. Should be able to easily get 2 runs in here. Question will be if you can go for multiple runs on the same set of tyres and then come in again for a new set. Oh, Joseph Hale's very close there to invalidating, pushing track limits as close as he could and riding the white line on the exit of the penultimate corner, and that's 23.9, and Ross spins out of the final corner, and we have no idea what lap time that could have been. Could have been absolutely anything. Could have been a 1 minute 30, it could have been a 1 minute 20, for all we know. John, let's see if his track position has worked wonders, and it has. Look at that, a 1 minute 23.6. That matches the best time we have seen so far this evening. Mr. Wiggles has backed off of this run and will engage the ERS for another run. Tamino is also on track for a flying lap. He will approach 3 drivers ahead of him on track during his run, so those 3 will have to get out of the way at the most convenient opportunity. I'm sure the last thing Tamino needs is drivers blocking him, and Dayman does get out of the way. Tamino has been flying in qualifying this season. 10 pole positions in season 3 alone. Will he make it 11 before this season is done? It's a 23.4, and that is a very, very good attempt. But Mr. Wiggles, we know he's a quick driver. Across the line, and it's a 24.1, so 6 or 7 tenths away from pole. But we do know he did a lap before that one, so tyres might be a little bit worse for wear. Prev's still flying out there. 24.5 initially. Currently in 7th. And 2 tenths to the good is Prev, so good enough to beat Perry at the moment. A bit more, might challenge Wiggles for a spot in the top 5. Oh, and a big slide out of the final corner, and it's cost him all of that good work. It's such a shame when that happens. Tamino Wiggles heading back into the pits. Ross takes to the track once again. Which tier am I supposed to be next season, if you don't mind me asking? I don't know. Padge is sorting all of that out. I currently know what you're in, but it might change, so I'm not going to say you're in one tier when it changes, or if it changes, so. We just have to find out next week. So Ross then puts on the hot lap, puts the foot into the floor, and round at turn 1. Not Ross's finest qualifying session, has to be said. A few mistakes, but I know Ross hasn't been on the game for a couple of weeks since the Brazil race, so maybe that's just a few symptoms of being off the game for a couple of weeks. It's very hard to judge tiers. I've said it a few times on stream this season. I guess I'll say it again. With AT1, it's a bit different because it's usually pretty obvious if someone's in AT1. especially in the quick end. But then when you get to the lower end of 81 and the topper end of 82, there is a kind of flux. This state, this spectrum, if you will. Sometimes 82 and 81 does slightly merge. It's hard to kind of choose where drivers will be based on outright pace, especially with pace changing at different tracks, and some people will have better racecraft and some people have better strategy and better race pace, better quali pace. It's really hard to judge. So if you're not in the tier you think you're supposed to be in, it's not because we don't like you or, you know, we've got it wrong. Sometimes it's kind of that spectrum where it's actually very hard to judge sometimes which tier suits you best. But we try 90% of the time, 95% of the time, we do get it right. And that is what makes Padge very good at being a manager. Oh, and Joseph Hales goes for a bit of a spin. No damage, so he can stay out for another lap here and go again. But that is obviously not ideal there for Joseph. Would have damaged his tyres somewhat. We do maintain a level of communication with some drivers as well, towards the lower end of 81 and the topper end of 82. Especially new recruits as well. Having not seen them race before, it's hard to know exactly what tier to place them into all of the time, so hope you understand it's not an easy thing placing drivers into tiers. Mr. Wiggles then set that 1 minute 24.1 on a scrub set of tyres, or at least a new set that had done 2 laps instead of 1. So this will be a brand new set for Mr. Wiggles. Coming to the end of his run, this looks pretty good. He's pushing the limits of the car, sliding around an awful bit, and maybe those slides have just taken some time off of his personal best. Joseph Hales invalidates at turn 1, and that will be all that is written for Joseph's qualifying dreams here. And he will stay 4th at best. Mr. Wiggles will stay 5th at best. Dayman has put in a very handy 24.2. Puts him about a quarter of a second behind his teammate. And that is the closest we've seen them two Mercedes for a while. Prev finishes in 8th place, although it could drop to 9th or 10th if we and Ross get a good lap time in. Tamino, John, all out on track right now, fighting for pole position. Smaller Smiley here is the next across the line, and he is backed off the time, so it was looking pretty good in that opening sector, but just got away from him slightly. As here comes Deflated Wee round the final corner. It's a good improvement, and it's P2. Nice lap there from Deflated Wee, and only a 10th away from provisional pole. What about Perry Jerry? He's 2/10 to the good in sector 2. Round the final corner, we got John also behind him on track. Bit of a slide on the exit curb, and he's lost a bit of time as John replaces Deflated Wee on the front row of the grid. And what about Samino? He improves and cements his slot in first. Joseph Hale's doing a few donuts. We'll have a look and see if anyone's improving. Wiggles, no improvement there. Dayman not improving either. So Tamino, pole position number 11 for the season. And Tamino with his 15th pole in IIRL, only one off the record. which is 16 by Mr. Wiggles. So Tamino, pole position, we've said that 11 times this season, and certainly well deserved. Had it on his first run, but that second run just cemented it, put the icing on the cake for TV8 Tamino in the Alfa Romeo. Takes the last pole position of the no assist race in season 3. John, front row of the grid, pretty good lap time there, 23.5 in deflated wheel, considering he was 10th or 9th a few moments before the end. He will take a P3. Smaller Smiley, really impressive qualifying on the second row. Joseph Hales and Wiggles on row 3. Row 4 is Dayman and Ross. Perigeri and Prev make it an all P row 5. Hey TJ, hope you're well, mate. Nice to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. Was fastest sector 1, fastest sector 2, then you bottle it. Messed up the long left in sector 3 without that pole. Without that pole might have been possible. I'm sure third place on the grid isn't too bad. Short run here to turn 1. So don't expect to see too many positions gained or lost unless someone has obviously a terrible start. You hold the record of most non-points finishes in a row. Really? How'd you figure that one out? I might do a stat check, you know. Wonderful task. Started my new job today. Oh, very congratulations. What's your new job, TJ? And how are you finding it so far? How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Nice to be back after 2 weeks off. Season 4 preps are well underway. Lots of details have been posted in Discord. Check the announcements page for all the in-depth information about Season 4. In case you're not in the Discord, it's going to go down like this. Final race of the season, round 22 at Abu Dhabi. No championships up for grab in no assist tonight. But the constructors are still yet to be decided on Thursday and Sunday, so big reason to tune in this week. Next Tuesday, 7:30 PM again, we will have Season 3 award stream. Drivers have been nominating people for awards over the past week or two, and next Tuesday you will have the opportunity to vote live on stream for who you think deserves to win each of those awards. Next Thursday, that is the 12th of January, join us for the Season 4 reveal stream. That is going to be random wheel generators for each driver in the no assist tier, the assist tier 1 and the assist tier 2. You're going to find out what cars you are driving on that day. Also, we are going to be doing a random wheel generator for the tracks on the calendar for Season 4. The first 18 tracks to come out are the tracks we're racing at, and in that order. Planning manager at Graphic Packaging. Well, lovely. Sounds wonderful. Hope it all goes well for you. 6 races in a row without getting any points. Must be the record. I have a feeling I know someone who has a longer record than that this season. I will fact check before, though. I will check before I say it. Nope. My inkling was incorrect. I'm glad I fact-checked before I said it. Can I accidentally remove Monaco from the wheel? Only for a 300 quid bribe. Unfortunately, no. Well, I'm sure this final 5-minute break for the no assist tier is coming to an end. Shortly there will be a 30-second countdown. No formation lap. So much to say. It's not a nice record to be proud of, Novatech, I'm not going to lie. Most non-points finishes in a row. Can't say it's one of them to be proud of, but you've done well since then. So under the dusk lighting, it's a very nice picture there as we get this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix underway. Looks like Deflated Wee's had a brilliant start. Either that or John John's just had a bit of a poor one. Bit of a nudge between Wee and John, and in the end, Small has been collected, and he's been spun round there. That has been such bad fortune for Smaller Smiley, who had such an impressive qualifying. You can buy me a Mackies anytime you want, TD. TJ can't do that, but we could have Monaco as the last race of next season as Ross looks for a sighter up the inside of Joseph Hales. Partially alongside. Hales gives the space. Nice respect from these pair as they head into DRS straight without the DRS. Lap 3. DRS will be enabled. These top two are threatening to run away with this. Deflated Wee and Tamino battling, and let's have a look at the tyres situation. It's a sea of yellow and white as to be expected. No one on the soft compound tyres. It's a bit of a split there. We got Tamino on the hard tyres. That's why Deflated Wee is pressuring always wide. We have Joseph Hales at the final corner and kept 4th place because of it. A bit cheeky perhaps, but Joseph Hales on the hard compound tyres. We'll be able to go longer into this first stint. The emphasis will be on Perry Jerry, John, and Wiggles to get past Joseph as quick as they can. And if Joseph Hales can just stay within the DRS range of that little group that he's in, a little cluster of drivers, then he should be alright. Same story with Tamino. If he can either lead Deflated Wee or stay within DRS range of Deflated Wee, he should have a better strategy for the end of the race. assuming there are no safety cars, of course, as Perry-Jerry just goes a little bit wide there. Oh, and there's a spin from Ross. Oh, and Mr. Wiggles has been collected as well. And round the outside, John is looking on Perry-Jerry. It's all happened in that 2 or 3 corners there. Way too much happening at the same time. Didn't see. Ross lost it on his own in P3. And then I think Wiggles either was distracted and spun by himself, or there was contact, but I didn't see. So Wiggles joins Smaller after Smaller's turn 1 nightmare. Tamino still leads Deflated Wii, however lap 3, this is where DRS comes into play. You can see the rear wing open on the Alpine, braking late. Lots more speed to try and get rid of under braking. Deflated Wii's got a nice line out of the chicane. Better exit, plus the DRS. And Tamino just clicked down to gear 7 there. Purposely losing a bit of speed, didn't want to hit the brakes too early. Allowed Deflated Wii that space there. And of course, Tamino doesn't need to lead in this stint, as Dayman goes for a bit of a spin, or has made a bit of a mistake and has lost a bit of time. Richie struggling, has lost a big chunk of time in this lap. And with spins for Ross and Wiggles. And now Colucci out of the final corner. It's allowed Deaton up into 6th, Prev up into 7th, as Greg now goes for a bit of a spin. These hard tyres are not very good in the opening stint, it would seem. Bit of a spoiler for some of the drivers racing this week. Prev getting past Deaton. Ross getting past Padge, as is Mr. Wiggles. Bahrain and Abu Dhabi needs to get reserved for first and last race, to be honest. They are not going to be done that way. We have been very linear this season, start to finish. We're having an exact replica of the real Formula 1 season, but season 4 we thought, you know what, let's try something a bit different. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does work, it could be really good. That guy then pits. And no front wing change. So possibly could be an AI pitting. Not too sure what that pit stop was about. But he does slot in behind Richie. Out in front, Tamino has lagged out of the session. He'll need to join back. Pretty sharpish otherwise. John and Joseph Hales might close that gap. Tamino losing fractions of time every millisecond. Tamino has joined the session back, but it'll take a few seconds for him to get back in the car. As John gets past down the main straight and up into P2. Joseph Hales in the background there, just running wide. Might have got a warning for that as we look at Tamino, and he is back in the car because he ran wide. So Tamino has lost about 2 or 3 seconds. It's not the end of the world, it's not the end of his race. However, it has now forced Tamino to drive that little bit faster. Because he doesn't need to be awfully close to deflated wheel. He's only 3 seconds off the lead, so it's still not a horrible situation to be in, as Prev gets a 5-second penalty for a corner cut. And that will be at the chicane, as John has spun from second. He saw it in the foreground and he's just dropped it by himself. Maybe those medium tyres are not great in this opening stint. Tamino leads Joseph Hales. Both of these two are on identical tyre strategies. Harry Jerry 2 seconds behind this group, up into P4 now after that spin from John. And Joseph Hales, for the second lap running, runs wide at turn 1. Tamino closing the gap slightly now to deflated. Joseph looked like he had a really good exit out of turn 4, and he's backed off slightly. Just heard the engine make a weird noise. That was him letting off the throttle ever so slightly because he wants to attack on this straight instead. Tamino using ERS very well there. Gets a good exit. And Tamino stays ahead, and his quest to hunt down our race leader continues. Ross and Mr. Wiggles, meanwhile, when good friends go to war, these two have had many a battle in this league, and they're going to have one more. Ross defending, Mr. Wiggles attacking. Yellow flag, and Deton has had a bit of a spin just behind these two in the third sector. Back out on track now and getting back underway. Colucci trying to close that gap now to attack Deton in 12th, and Deton's had another bit of a spin coming out of the second to last corner, and now Colucci's had a spin out of the final corner. It's all going on at this back cluster of drivers. Deton, Padge, that guy, Richie Colucci, all struggling somewhat. Just need to be careful that your tyres don't overheat. Wiggles and Ross again trading paint. This is turning into a Need for Speed lobby rather than Formula 1 lobby. And Ross and Wiggles side by side. Beautiful, smooth driving from the pair. Ross had the better exit and Wiggles has to slot in behind. This is the closest fight on track. We've got Dayman right behind Greg, about 7 seconds behind this group. We've also got Deton defending 12th from that guy and Padge. Would be lovely to see Padge get a point in his 100th Grand Prix. But it'd also be very poignant to see Greg get some points, as he's recently passed 100 races too in this league. Incredible achievements. Only the 3rd and 4th drivers to achieve that feat of 100 IIRL races. The other two are these two we're watching right now, Ross and Wiggles. Wiggles looking for it. Poked his nose just to the left. No move on. Tamino, that gap out front, he has extended his lead over Hales to now 1.3 seconds. He's got Joseph out of the DRS range behind him, but there's no real gains into Deflated Wee's lead right now. It's dropped down to 2.5 as we speak, but no real inroads right now. Those medium tyres are hanging on well. Joseph Hales on for a podium as things stand. And we'll have a quicker set of tyres for the second stint, so it's looking pretty good there for Tamino and Joseph. Prev has been overtaken by John recently after John recovering from an early spin. Prev with a 5-second penalty. Is there another move incoming? Mr. Wiggles, DRS open. Could just be biding his time here. Doesn't need to get the move done on this occasion. Can just sit back, force Ross to use some overtake until he's got a pretty thin battery life. And then deploy, get an easier overtake. Potentially then could press on and close in on Prev. Lap 10 of 29, you're watching the final no assist race of Season 3. The titles in both the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship have been decided for weeks. This is more just who is going to end this season in style. I'm sure there's going to be some donuts on lap 29. Also another little reason to stick around for a while. Constructors' Championships on Thursday and Sunday night this week are still yet to be decided, so make sure you join us this week for Assist Tier 1 and Assist Tier 2, because there is some unfinished business to sort out. Dayman pits, Perigeri pits. Perigeri comes out in 10th place behind Greg and has plenty of space to work with to fire up those hard compound tyres and maybe get a bit of an undercut on Joseph Hales perhaps. You can see Perigeri weaving on the straight. He's not lost, he's just trying to warm up those tyres. Mr. Wiggles does get past. Smaller Smiley, though, is catching. Aston Martin in the background was 2 seconds behind this group. Now only 1.5. And those hard tyres are going to start to have a bit of a pace advantage over the mediums that Wiggles and Ross are using. Deflated Wee now only leads this race by a second. Can I do something? I can't change that. And Prev and Ross pits. Prev with the 5-second penalty that he has served and switches onto a set of hard compound tyres. Ross does the same. And let's join these two mid-fight, it would seem. Again, Tamino doesn't need to brake his car getting past. Yellow flag as we have a Mercedes stationary now moving. Is that Dayman just getting back up to speed. Wonder if Deflated Weed's going to pit here. Deton pits, comes out in 15th place. And into the pits comes our race leader. Sounds good, TD. I'll have to watch that again. What's the score? Tamino then takes charge of this race. Doesn't need to pit yet. I imagine with those mediums lasting about 11 or 12 laps, Tamino will be into the pits around lap 27 or 28. Joseph Hales, 2.3 behind our race leader, however not too far back. John then yet to pit on a bit of a recovery drive, but he'll need to pit very soon to make sure he doesn't lose too much pace advantage on those very old medium tyres now. I imagine John will be into the pits in this lap. Smaller Smiley. After what happened on lap one, I'm sure he will take being in 4th right now. However, he does need to pit. Deflated Wheat. Perry Jerry, who is flying past Greg now. And I'm sure Ross might get past when Smaller decides to pit. Wiggles and Ross still fighting over what is now 8th place. Dayman retires in the pits, just not to be for Dayman tonight. As for all the drivers, and especially Dayman leaving a bit earlier than the rest of these, thank you very much for your continued commitment for Season 3 in this tier. John does pit this lap, as we expected him to. Comes out behind Perry Jerry. Padge pits after 13 laps on those mediums. Nice little stint there from Padge. Onto a set of hard compound tyres. That guy will need to pit in around 3 laps time. So might be going for another medium stint. John with cold tyres in this first sector, but in this second sector looks to have them fired up now as he goes around the outside of Perry Jerry. Nice move there from the American John. Beauty about IIRL for the International League. We've got 2 drivers from the Czech Republic, 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 from the UK in the top 10. We've got a Polish driver in there as well, and an American. That guy pits now. Ditching those mediums and puts on a set of hard tyres he started the race on. So only the 2 sets that he's going to run this race, but just done an extra pit stop. Will come out pretty close to Richie. Wiggles and Ross still fighting. They'll jump up a place once Greg pits and once Smaller Smiley pits. That gap out front is starting to decrease. down to 1.7. Was 2.3 when Deflated Wee made a pit stop from the lead. Yellow flag in sector 3. That will be Mr. Colucci just round at the very long left-hander. Big fight happening for 13th here. Tune back in with Ross and Wiggles later on. Deflated Wee very close to the back of Smaller Smiley. There's Padge looking for a move on Richie. These two know each other very well. Deaton lying in wait. Mr. Colucci pits after spinning on those hard tyres. It's been on for 15 laps for the whole race so far. Padge looking to go around the outside of turn 1. Just run wide in the process. Has a bit of a compromised line. Bit of contact with Richie ahead. Deaton looking to get past 2. Tricky little section for all 3 of these as Joseph Hales pits on lap 16. Lap 17. Looking for an undercut on Tamino. Not a bad idea. Padge gets past Richie. Deaton looks like he maybe forced his way past as well at the chicane, but he is past Richie now, up into 13th place. Smaller Smiley pits as well. And Greg in 6th has been caught now by this pair. Will we see any drama between 3 of the only 4 drivers to reach 100 races in this league? Here comes Ross. Very experienced, these 3. Very clean drivers. Expecting no contact at all. Putting as much pressure on these 3 because I know they can handle it. Greg with those tyres just not got the grip to defend. Will Mr. Wiggles find a way past? Brakes late, turns in early, and Greg gives him the space. He knows that that's not his fight to fight with right now. Tamino pits, trying to cover off the move from Joseph Hales. Joseph Hales has come out only 2.4 behind John. That could look like a realistic overtaking opportunity for Joseph in a few laps' time. But where is Tamino going to come out of the pits? He might lose a spot here to Joseph. He won't. He will stay ahead of Joseph. And if Tamino wants to win this race, he's going to overtake John and Deflated Wee. And he's only about 5 seconds off the lead. Tamino not weaving there in a dangerous way. He's just trying to get some heat and temperature in those tyres, and he did that in a safe manner. So in case anyone's wondering about that, that's not an issue. But now Joseph Hales has had a lap on these mediums to get used to them, adjust his driving style to how the car feels on these tyres. Has got more confidence right now in the ability to keep the track on the road. Tamino still getting up to speed. And in a few moments' time, those mediums are going to start to really catch John. Tamino already closing that gap as Joseph Hales sets a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. No surprise there. He is absolutely flying. This is the fight for the podium. It's John versus Tamino versus Hales. However, John is only 2.5 seconds off the race lead. This could easily turn into a 4-way fight for the win. This has still got 10 laps of action in it, and I'm sure you don't want to miss anything. Just saw in the background there, Joseph lost a bit of time, went a bit too deep into that chicane. As a result, he might have missed out on the DRS here. There comes Tamino. Down the inside of John. John knows that he doesn't have the grip to fight right now with those hard tyres on the car. What he can now do is just sit behind Tamino. Let Tamino do the hard work. Let Tamino close that gap to deflated wheat. And John can just sit in the DRS and allow Tamino to bring him closer to deflated wheat. That is the strategy. However, what John needs to avoid is slipping out of DRS range of Tamino. This race is heating up, and for the third time in this race we see Joseph Hales running wide. You get the feeling with that should have been a penalty. However, it's probably a bit of a hack. If you go that far off track, maybe it doesn't give you a warning, so maybe the game has goofed up a little bit. But certainly we have seen on 3 different occasions now Joseph Hales run wide at turn 1. John doing very well. Oh, and he spun before I said that, so it's not commentator's curse, but just a little mistake. He's still in this, of course. Still got the DRS, and he's still behind Joseph Hales here. So no harm done, really. He might have lost third right now, but he can force one of those 3 ahead of him into a mistake. Doesn't have to be over here for John, but Tamino now, with no immediate pressure behind him, can close in on deflated wee as Richie is being lapped. I'm sure the ghosted car will provide a little bit of a distraction for these leaders. Tamino now closing that gap to 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second into the braking zone. Has the DRS out of turn 4. Richie gets out of the way of Tamino. And he's so close. Oh, and there's contact. Tamino nudging deflated wheat. Does Tamino have any front wing damage? And if he does, will it be meaningful? Are the questions in the background. John very close to the back of Joseph Hales. Joseph Hales here needs to take advantage of this fight for the lead and get within DRS range of Tamino and make this a full-blooded 4-way fight. Otherwise, anything can happen here. He may lose his podium shot. Deflated wheat going defensive at the final corner, and it's allowed Tamino some space to close in. Tamino, another slight bit of contact. Richie gets off the racing line. Joseph Hales and John now making this a 4-way fight for the win. And we still don't know which way it's going to go. There's no doubt Tamino and Joseph have the better tyres right now. But in 5 or 6 laps time, at the end of the race, those hard tyres might come back into it as Tamino, with the DRS, gets the move done. Under braking for the chicane, the DRS situation will switch over and deflated wee will now have the DRS. Yellow flag. I think Richie has gone off. And Richie getting a 10-second time penalty. Hopefully I can see the end of the match, Tom. Joseph Hales under big pressure from John, looking to get his hands on a podium in the last race of the season. Deflated Wheat knows that Tamino has the better grip right now, the better tyres on the car, and Tamino is using them to good effect. Richie retires in the pits. Just not been Richie's race here tonight. But of course we thank all the drivers for their continued support over the course of Season 3. Always love it when the drivers are here. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how quick you are. We always love watching them out on track. Fight of all fights for the podium. Tamino leads Deflated Wheat by 1.8 seconds. John looks comfortable on these hard compound tyres. Joseph Hales has decent pace in those mediums. Deflated Wheat, a very good racer. Not much to separate these three. Could come down to a tiny mistake. Perry having a solid race, hasn't had the pace of this top four, but still 5 seconds ahead of Wiggles, Smaller and Ross, who are having a good fight for P6. Currently that will go to Smaller Smiley as Mr. Wiggles has a time penalty. Only 2 time penalties so far. Prev and Greg in the points and have decent cushions on the car behind them. Joseph Hales just running a little bit wide. John, couple of tenths closer. Joseph Hales will be stronger in this final sector compared to Deflated Wheat. The hard tyres on the car. Can he get close enough to attack down the DRS straights? 5 laps to go in this no assist season. It's been a corker. AlphaTauri won the Constructors. Ross has won the Drivers' title in pretty convincing fashion. AlphaTauri have dominated the Constructors all season long. Oh, and contact! Oh no, John has nudged Joseph and he's let him back through. That is lovely to see. But it has affected this race for the podium. Interesting to see if Joseph sends that into the stewards. But he has lost a bit of ground on Deflated Wheat. I'm not saying it's impossible now, but with those mediums, around 7 or 8 laps tyre wear, the job is going to be considerably more difficult to gain 2 seconds up the road. These on pits, possibly for a set of soft tyres and go for a fastest lap attempt. Tamino, though, seems to have nailed this. Got the strategy spot on, even with a little disconnect earlier in the race where he lost a good 3 seconds. He seems to be winning this race. but it's not guaranteed. Only 3 seconds he leads by. 1 time penalty can easily put Tamino in a bit of a sticky situation. As John looking to attack. Last time they were down this straight, there was contact. There's no contact this time. Smaller Smiley has absolutely nailed his strategy. He's got past Wiggles and Ross, who are still fighting for 7th. Smaller Smiley here is absolutely on fire. Question is, can he catch Perry Jerry for 5th place? As the better tyres on the car right now, might have an outside opportunity. With only 3 laps left, Perry Jerry comes round final corner to start lap 27. Both of these two are coming in for soft tyres. They've been racing for the past 15 laps or so, and now they're both going to come in. One final act of who is quicker, me or you. Lovely to see. Can any of them get the fastest lap away from Tamino? Or is it Smaller Smiley? Bit of contact there. John trying to overtake Joseph Hales. Bit of a nudge. Goes over the inside curb at the second chicane. Fastest lap is currently Tamino's. Ross and Wiggles only lost 1 place with those pit stops to Prev. Almost a free pit stop for them both. And if they can get a move on, they might be able to attack Prev in a couple of laps' time. Tamino comes around the final corner now to start the penultimate lap. 2 laps left of this no assist tier season. Tamino leads Deflated Wee by 4.5 seconds, and even a time penalty can't hold Tamino back right now. But this is the real fight. The final podium slot. Who's it going to go to? Is it going to go to Joseph Hales, or is it going to go to John? We've got a T and a D on the podium as it stands, but which J will join them? As Wiggles and Ross are still fighting. Side by side now, John slightly ahead into the braking zone. And using the DRS to get ahead, but he goes too deep into the corner. Might allow Joseph an opportunity, but a bit of a slide, held it well. But that could be the moment in which Joseph loses this podium in devastating fashion. That would be a huge shame if it were to end like that, and that would be the reason why. But we did say this podium could come down to who makes a tiny mistake. John made one, Joseph made one. Tamino round the final corner now to start the final lap of the race. It's been a thoroughly successful season for Tamino in no assist, with 10 pole positions in 21 races. He's won 5 times. Make it 6 if he can hold out this lap. This would be his 10th podium of the season and his 15th time in the points. He will solidify 2nd in the championship. All he needs to do is finish ahead of Mr. Wiggles. John is closing desperately in the final lap on Deflated Wee. But I'm not sure there's enough track left to get there. Tamino has been on it this season. His pace has been impeccable. There's been a few mistakes here and there, and maybe that is what separates him and Ross from winning the championship. But certainly there has been no mistakes here from Tamino. Perfect strategy, perfect pace, perfect race. Tamino wins here in Abu Dhabi. Deflated wheat. Oh, so close. But he will hold on to second place. John finishes on the podium. And Joseph Hales, unfortunate to finish on the podium here. And Smaller Smiley, we were questioning if he could catch Perry. It was very close in the end. But he does just inch out ahead of Smaller Smiley. And these three are fighting over 7th. Prev gained the 7th place when Wiggles and Ross pitted for softs. And it looks like they're both slowing down to do some donuts. We'll check in with them in a few moments' time. But Prev will finish in 7th place. IIRL Greg celebrating 100 races in IIRL last week. Or last race. He will finish in the points. Lovely to see Ross and Wiggles sending this season off in style. As that guy goes ahead to continue doing some donuts. Will Padge get a point on his 100th race? That is the question. I'm sure these two are very obliged to let Padge through. Padge does come through to finish in 9th place and celebrate some points on his 100th Grand Prix. Many congratulations to Padge. Deaton has finished a lap down. So unfortunately no donuts for Deaton, but Ross and Wiggles, it's been a pleasure to commentate on their races this season. I get the feeling Mr. Wiggles is actually trying to drive now, but he can't. His tyres are too dead. Well, Abu Dhabi is used to these donuts. We'll never get tired of them. Absolutely lovely to see. Oh, potential 5-second penalty for Joseph. We'll have to wait and see. He did let you back through. We'll have to just wait and see. I'll try and get that steward report out ASAP. Mr. Wiggles trying to finish, but struggling. Which one of these two is going to win? That's the question. Wiggles gets it. Well, Ross, it's been a thoroughly dominant season. He's won the championship by, good, I don't know, quick maths, 120 points, I'm going to say. 130 points, maybe. It's been flawless from Ross, it really has. Drivers' Championship, Constructors' Championship, and definitely could be a strong favourite for Driver of the Season in the award stream next week. What's even more impressive about Ross's season is he didn't get one pole position. Ross does get the fastest lap and beats Mr. Wiggles to it by only 1/10 of a second. Nice little consolation there for Ross. Well, driver of the day. Oh, it's so difficult to say, really. Tamino had a flawless race. Perry Jerry gaining 4 places and having a very solid race there. Could give it to Deflated Wee as well. Very strong drive from him. You know what? I'm going to give driver of the day to Smaller Smiley. He had a very good recovery after an unfortunate accident at turn 1, which probably wasn't his fault. A couple of drivers with a bit of wheel touching into turn 1, and Smaller Smiley got spun round, but his pace was very good. and had it been one more lap on the Grand Prix, I'm sure he would have got P5 ahead of Perigeri. So I'm going to give driver of the day to Smaller Smiley. Tamino, a very close second. Everyone in that top 6 did incredibly well here tonight. Let's get those. Unfortunately, Richie Colucci Dayman didn't see out the rest of the race. Deaton a lap down. Ross and Wiggles had a fantastic fight all race. Thank you very much for that, guys. That guy finishes in the points as well as Padge on his 100th Grand Prix. Great stream. Thank you, Padge. Appreciate that, mate. Hope you enjoyed your 100th race. Wasn't the nicest race, I imagine. A couple of spins out there, but I'm sure you're happy with the result. Happy with that, says Smaller. Best of a bad situation. Indeed, you are driver of the day, Smaller Smiley. Congrats. With Tamino a close second. So join us on Thursday night and Sunday night to wrap up the constructors for Assist Tier 1 and Assist Tier 2 respectively. P2 in the Championship for Tamino. Next season will be P1, he says. Well, we have to... It's a long 18 race season next time around. As for next season, join us this next Tuesday night for the award stream where we celebrate Season 3's achievements. And join us a week on Thursday for the reveal stream in Season 4. Which team are you going to be driving for? What is the calendar going to look like? All those questions will be answered a week on Thursday. It has been an absolutely fantastic season. We hope you've enjoyed it. Tune in the rest of this week. Tune in next week. 2 weeks today, we will start Season 4, and we still don't know what's going to happen yet. Anything can happen right now. Well, Ross has run away with the title for Season 3. Can Tamino challenge in Season 4? Join us in 2 weeks' time for the start of Season 4, and peace.